Welcome to another video in the Resolve introductory video series. My name is Brent Hunter, and in this short video we're going to take a look at action tasks in the Resolve Actions Pro automation platform. Action tasks are the fundamental building blocks of an automation or runbook. An automation is typically made up of multiple action tasks placed one after the other in a flow, and the outcome of one action task can change the flow of the preceding automation. I guess action tasks have the same concept as the Unix do one thing and do it well philosophy. They are each a little program that does one thing and they do it very well. An action task performs a specific function to either execute something, calculate something, or reprocess supplied data, etc. An action task may also return a response or output some data, and in Resolve you can further customize that response into a summary for on-screen presentation. The response data, or part of it, can be extracted and used elsewhere within your automation, for example by other action tasks or other automation components. What makes Resolve Actions Pro so extensible is the ability for an action task to practically execute any type of command, regardless if it's a command line, program or executable, script, API call, or even utilizing additional helper libraries, such as a Java class library or a PowerShell module. Action tasks are not dependent on a specific OS type or scripting language. Out of the box, Resolve supports Java, Go, Python, Perl, PowerShell, Ruby, Bash, and normal Linux and Windows command lines. And the default universal scripting language in Resolve is GroovyScript, which is kind of a simpler and easier version of Java, which means you have the wealth of Java and all the experience that has at your fingertips. GroovyScript is also considerably more scalable than the likes of Python, which helps Resolve scale up to executing thousands of parallel automations per second and millions per day. Action tasks can be reused again and again, and in the same automation and in other automations. Again, similar to the Unix philosophy, a design goal of Resolve is that you can build once and reuse many times. So for custom action tasks you create, design them in a generic way, with optional input and output parameters, so they can be reused again and again by yourself and other automation ninjas. Now, action tasks aren't just a script or command line or execution shell. They also include the intelligence to pass and process the output of the script or command, handle errors and exceptions, the logic to output specified data, and also the customization for how you want to present anything back on screen, such as the summary information and thresholds, including your red, amber, green traffic lights for visual indication. And lastly, version control is built into Resolve so you can commit and roll back your changes, as well as compare the differences between versions of action tasks you have previously modified. Let's look at a couple of action tasks that are included with Resolve Actions. If I wanted to quickly unlock a user account in Active Directory, I can use the pre-built unlock account action task. This action task accepts a variety of input parameters, and some already have default values specified to use, in this instance, predefined global properties. I only need to specify the AD account input parameter, and then I can execute this action task to unlock the John Smith user account. Okay, now in the second scenario, I want to automate the process of logging into a network device using SSH. I want to execute a specific command such as show config. And then finally, I want to log out or exit the SSH session. This task breaks down into three components. We start the SSH session, we run the command, and then we close the SSH session. Now, Resolve has thousands of pre-built action tasks and wizards to help you build automations, so it's as simple as dragging the SSH connection wizard, which builds the workflow for the connect and disconnect, and then dragging and dropping the show config action task in the middle. Okay, so now the basics are understood, let's open up an action task and take a look inside, under the covers as such. Action tasks have many different configurable components, such as the input and output parameters, a pre-execution script, the actual content, the script or command line to execute, and then several tabs to pass and process the response, as well as being able to customize the on-screen presentation of the action task. I've opened up the first action task that we looked at, which unlocks a user account in Active Directory. The General tab has a summary and description of this action task, as well as role-based access control for who can view, edit, and execute this specific action task. The Reference tab provides a list of where this action task is being used elsewhere throughout my environment, such as in other automations. And the Parameters tab is where I can manually define the inputs and output parameters. Next, the Preprocessor tab gives you the ability to run a pre-execution script before the main script, and this can be very handy indeed. And probably the main component of an action task is the Content tab, which includes the command lines or script to execute. Again, this is pretty wide open to what you want to do here. For example, here is the PowerShell script to unlock the user account in Active Directory. Because this script is being executed against a remote service, the credentials are set up here, as well as the input parameter for the AD account, which is retrieved here from the defined input parameters. Now, because the unlock AD account command doesn't actually return any response to the screen, the content then runs a second PowerShell command called getAdUser to validate that the unlock actually worked. The output of the script is then passed over to the parser or assessor. The Assessor tab allows you to get into the code, should you wish, to process the output or response of your script or command. Alternatively, the Parser tab is a wizard to help you process the response and extract any specific data you may want to store as variables, which of course you can use elsewhere in your automation. So just to show you how easy the parser is to use, I'll just take this back to the beginning. Now, to extract custom data from the raw response, simply paste the output from your content here, and then you can simply highlight the data you want to extract. Behind the scenes, Resolve Actions is actually building up a regular expression, which you can view and edit if you want to. And it's as easy as that. I've now got the data I want, in this case to validate the account has indeed been unlocked successfully. You can configure the outcome and the color of the red, amber, green traffic lights to make it really easy for others to understand if this particular action task was successful or not. I've taken my parameter I just created using the parser, and if unlock success equals true, then I want to display a green traffic light. Otherwise, if it's false, then I want to show a red or critical traffic light. This variable automatically now becomes a parameter that I can use throughout my automation if needed. Finally, if I want to customize the summary text, I can simply map those traffic lights here with the appropriate text to display on screen. Again, another example, if the account was unlocked successfully, then I can change the summary text to say the account was successfully unlocked. One of the last components of an action task is the mock feature, and this allows you to inject fake or made-up data into this action task for development and testing purposes. Now that brings me to the end of this video, but to finish off, Resolve is proactively building a huge repository of action tasks, so you can just download them, and larger integration packs too from the Automation Exchange. In addition to action tasks, you can find a wide variety of content, such as fully built use cases and automations, and gateways for bidirectional integration with third-party software for event-driven automations. Thank you again for watching this introductory video to action tasks in Resolve Actions Pro, the service orchestration and IT automation platform from Resolve.